So this is a pretty simple progression for the actual hollow body hold, also for the hanging L-sit, and it's kind of a combination of some PRI techniques. If you're not familiar with them, that's the Postural Restoration Institute. You can Google them, but it's a combination of some PRI techniques as well as thinking about the position of the diaphragm relative to the pelvic floor and how that kind of influences anterior core stability. So if you're one of those people who does ab wheel rollouts, leg raises, planks, any sort of exercise like that that is going through either anti-extension, an isometric hold, or even going into a flexion component. This is all thinking sagittal plane now. We're not talking rotation in the transverse plane or even movement in the frontal plane. But if you're one of those people who does any of those exercises and you can't really seem to feel your abs, quote unquote, then this is a good little tweak for you that you can use. Now, you can debate one way or another whether or not it's actually beneficial to be able to quote unquote feel the muscle working. Some people are on the side, you know, as long as you're doing the movement, the muscle is working. Other people on the opposite side, bodybuilders, for example, would be the type to say, well, you have to ensure that you are focused just on the tension within the muscle. Muscles don't know weight or numbers, they know the tension and the recruitment that you're sending to them, so kind of your intention to the muscle. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I think that position affects activation. So if you change the position of, say, your hips, whether that be posterior tilt, anterior tilt, that's going to affect the musculature within your torso. But at the same time, I think that understanding how to feel certain muscles working is very important to improve the biomechanics of a lift, as well as to improve growth within specific muscles. So that's a whole other tangent, but what you're going to need is a foam roller or a yoga block or anything that you can stick between your legs. I've talked about this in other past videos, in my rollout video, in my leg curl video, but use a foam roller, use a yoga block, and stick it in between your knees. Just like that, real simple. Next thing you're going to need is like a pole or something you can hold on to. You can use a squat rack, that works too. But with this, essentially what you're going to do is you're going to interlace your fingers, and then I'm going to actually try to sit back into my hips and have some soft knees. From this point, what I want to think about doing is I'm not going to go down into a deep squat. I have another video on my channel where I do that. But here, as I inhale, I'm going to try to inhale right in between my shoulder blades into my upper back and think about expanding my stomach and then my chest out, not up. So, first part, soft knees sitting back into my hips, and then when I take a breath, everything will expand. Now, as I exhale, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually push my hands forward and sit my hips back. Just like that. You should feel this muscle right on the side of your rib cage turn on. It's called your serratus anterior. It kind of looks like fingers. When people start to get really lean, you can see it underneath their armpit. So that's protraction. Reach, sit back into your hips as you exhale. Last step, squeeze with your knees into the foam roller. And that's really the crucial cue here, because a lot of people, when they can't seem to feel their abs, they also can't seem to find their adductors as well. And so the two kind of tie in together. That's one of the trains that Thomas Myers talked about on the front line of the body. Feel free to Google that if you want to look into that a bit more. But again, here, reach forward, sit back into the hips, exhale, and then squeeze. And what you'll notice is that when I blow out all that air, I'm actually going to pause for a second. I'm going to swallow and hold that position. And basically what swallowing does is it relaxes the diaphragm. So it causes it to come down so that you can keep tension within the abs, but now still utilize the diaphragm. So what you're teaching yourself is lock down my core, but now I can still allow my diaphragm to move so that when I'm underweight or something like that, I can still breathe efficiently and keep anterior core stability, lumbar stability. What you're really focusing on here is your obliques. So if you think about the bottom of your rib cage and the top of your hip crease, you really want to try to decrease that space and make it smaller as you exhale. So you will actually tuck under, posteriorly tilt, but you're going to feel your obliques fire really, really hard, and you should feel your rectus abdominis, that six-pack muscle, turn on as well. So thinking back to what I originally said, the progression for the hollow body hold, which you would do on the floor, this is basically the hollow body hold supported, if you look at the position of my body. Now my arms aren't fully overhead, but here we're basically keeping a slightly posteriorly tilted or flexed spine, and what that's going to do is allow us to keep our pelvic floor and our diaphragm congruent, so that when we exhale, everything fires really hard, and we squeeze in on the roller. So give it a shot. You can use it as a superset with a squat and a deadlift. You can throw this in the superset, or I used it today as kind of a finisher. So I did some leg raises and then incorporated this as a superset with the leg raises to really hone in on that flex position to make sure that I wasn't overextended at the bottom of the leg raise. So just a few ideas on how to incorporate it. Give it a shot and let me know what you think.